Right. And I was thinking to myself after the show, like, wow, you can get landed on by a big fat bastard and survive. The next one, I think we were in Pittsburgh playing at the Electric Banana, which was famous for when bands would try and go get paid by Johnny, the owner. If he didn't like the band and didn't make any money, he'd pull a gun on you. Get out of my club, like, oh my God, I'm gonna yell them. And he was famous on the tour circuit, like, yeah, he's the guy who pulls a gun on you after the show. He seemed to like Black Flag, he never pulled a gun on us. In fact, his nice wife used to cook us dinner on. Anyway, so the next day, we're in Pittsburgh, like, how was your show in New York? Oh my God, I saw a girl get landed on by a guy, she's okay. It was just one of those, like, wow. And then several months later, we're back in New York again, and it's sound check time, the place is empty, and a mere mortal girl walks across the dance floor, comes right up to the stage and says, hello. I said, how do you do? She said, do you remember me? I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. She said, remember the last time you guys played in New York? This huge guy got on stage, I'm like, oh! You the girl got landed on by the big guy? She said, I am. I said, damn! I watched it from up here. I thought he killed you. Like when he landed on you, my teeth hurt. I was like, oh! Oh! I'm so glad you're okay. And she said, well, I'm not exactly okay. And I forget which eye she referenced, but she pointed to one of her eyes. And she said, this is a glass eye. He knocked my eye out. And everyone in the band stopped what they were doing. That's an awful thing to hear. And I'm sure I said, I'm sorry, because that would be a fairly reflexive thing to come out of your mouth. But I'm sorry doesn't put an eye back in the head. And putting on the guest list is kind of insulting. And so I'm sure I said, I'm so sorry. And I forget exactly what I said. I'm sure that was in there. But I'll never forget what she said. She said, don't worry about it. It's cool. I'll see you tonight. And she turned around and walked out. And we're like, it's cool? Okay, because it's not cool to me. And she left, and to my knowledge, I've never seen or ever spoken to this woman again. It's a long time ago. And it gives credence to that thing your mother always told you over and over again when you were at the absolute zenith of fun. Put your brother down, you'll lose an eye. Do not set the garage on fire, you'll lose an eye. And everything you could lose an eye. Don't go see Black Flag, you'll lose an eye. And, oh, Mom, come on already. Cut it out when you lose an eye. I'm your mother, I know a thing or two, you'll lose an eye. And well, Mom's right every once in a while. And it's very hard to defend the guy who landed on the girl. But in the spirit of Abraham Lincoln, a great warrior, I'll give it a shot. I bet you that the guy did not go to the gig that night with the intent of what was the result. I bet he didn't walk in thinking, I'm hunting for eyeballs. I'm going to get one. And I'm sure when he jumped off stage, he wasn't aiming at anyone. You just jump, you know, like, that one, bam! He just jumped. And I bet if you told him what he had done, he wouldn't say, so, what to do with business? He'd probably be fairly mortified. And imagine if that was you. Imagine walking around with that as an albatross hanging from your neck for the rest of your life. You might forget it for months or even years at a time, but it might sneak back up on you at strange moments, like you're sitting alone or you're waiting in line for something at the dentist, and all of a sudden, wham! Oh yeah, I'm the guy who knocked the eye out of a girl. Might ruin your life, might give you a lot of bad sleep. And what if you had a kid, and in that rare moment when your son or daughter takes you seriously, they want some advice, you know, the kid comes in, Dad, I need to talk to you. Okay, son, what do you want to know? Well, I want to know how to get through life without being a schmuck. Well, son, what you don't want to do is what I did. What did you do? Well, back in the 1850s, I went to a punk rock show, and I jumped off stage, I landed on a girl and knocked the eyeball out of her head, and she's still alive. She still walks this earth with one eye gone because of my reckless behavior. And son, the guilt compels me to this day to lose sleep and not enjoy my food. And so if you want to be a good human being and have a fun life, don't do something that monumentally stupid like I did. Now, get out of my den. Daddy's watching internet porn because our marriage is sadly over. Anyway. And so it was one of those moments where I kind of grew up. I'm like, wow, we young people, we are not unbreakable. You know, we are quite breakable. You can lose an eye. So it was, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information. So I go out to the audience that night. All right, everyone, be careful. I don't want anyone to lose an eyeball. Okay, Dad. It's just a weird thing to say. And so right around that time, we were playing in upstate New York, which is near the Canadian border. It's an absolutely gorgeous part of America. Big deciduous trees, clear water with living fish. And we would play a lot of bars in those days, where the owner of the bar hated our guts, but we brought in people. The bouncers, different than security, hated our guts. And most of the audience, who paid a mere $3 or $4 to come see us play, seemed to hate our guts. And they always take it out on the singer. I guess because I'm the cute one? I don't know. And we're playing on some stage this high, so you can walk right up and hit the singer all night long. And we're playing away, and some huge guy comes up, and he's pulling on the microphone cord. And finally, he pulls me off the stage, and he and his friends surround me and start stepping on me. Not breaking my ribs, not kicking me like a Clockwork Orange, just kind of like... And it's comical. I'm rolling away from them, picking up cigarette butts and alien slime like I'm some human lynch rover. And I go back on stage and I'm like, oh man! Because there's like the grunge of 80,000 shows on the floor of this place. They never mopped it out. And all night long he's pulling me off. And all night long I'm rolling away. And so as soon as the show is over, I turn into the road crew. Immediately. It's like, good night! And I just have to break down the gear because we were the band and the crew. And so I'm carrying one of our broken pieces of gear out to our crappy van, and my antagonist is standing in the parking lot, verbally abusing me as I walk by, literally adding insult to injury. And so I walk by, hey, you suck! And I have no comeback to that, because I think he's quite succinctly evaluated my young life up to that point. Because let's see, I get out of a broken van every day that smells of decaying skin. I load into a club with no monitors, no good PA, no working men's room, and I get abused all night by big professors like this guy. I guess I do suck. I'm showing early signs of starvation, and my life is going nowhere except to the next show. So I said, wow, I just had an epiphany. What a revelation, sir. Thank you so much for your input. And I load the gear and I walk by, hey, you suck. I said, I know I suck. Thank you, Big Chief. And I come out with the second or third piece of gear. Hey, you suck. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I'd forgotten. I'm going in and putting that back. I thought I was doing okay. And I see this guy walking across, in a diagonal line across the parking lot, head down, and he's weird. He's like, walking like a man on a mission. Like, track this guy. What's he doing? He walks up to my antagonist and pokes him in the stomach. Like he's some kind of evil Pillsbury dope. That'll work, you. And I'm like, really? I came all the way across town to do that to you. Ha ha ha! And he walks away. I'm like, okay, that was strange. And I look at my antagonist. I see a red dot on his stomach that's rapidly expanding. That guy just got stabbed. I was like, whoa! But at that point in my life, I did not feel the need to tell him, because he didn't seem to notice. He's looking around, hey, you suck, as this dot just grows. And I was thinking to myself, I may suck, but at least I'm not stabbed. And how about this? How about you go run and play with your blood? You and your blood, go get a room. I've got gear to carry. And I came back out, and the blood is now going into his pants. And there's people watching him bleed. And he's looking around, hey, you suck, as he's bleeding. And I guess he was high or drunk or something. He didn't feel it. And I keep loading the gear, and now the blood is like going down to his knee, and people are just tripping on it. And no one says a word. I'm like, wow, you're bleeding. If that happened now at a show, I'd make the guy lie down. I said, keep talking to me, get him a blanket, get him an ambulance. You're not going into shock on my watch, because I know a thing or two. But in those days, I'm like, yeah, whatever, die. You know? I'm still picking the cigarette butts out of my teeth and kiss my ass. And so he seems to be having a good time as he's bleeding and yelling at me. And so finally, loadout is done, and we're getting back into our van. We have to go to Ottawa, Canada, so we got a long drive. And the guy seems to have a change of heart. All of a sudden, he seems to like me. Now that he's exsanguinating in the parking lot, he looks up and he's like, rock and roll, right on, and walks away. Like, okay, weird. And so we find out the next time we get to town, we find out that he did not know he was stabbed, and he went into either a liquor store or a gas station convenience store to buy some beer to keep this party rolling. And some guy behind the counter said, stop everything, you are bleeding like a stuck pig, let's call you an ambulance. And thankfully, the guy was okay. And we came to the conclusion that either he was stabbed with the entirety of a small blade or a little bit of a big blade. But I'm not, it's okay, I don't think I would die. And if I had my way, he wouldn't have been stabbed. And even better, he wouldn't have pulled me off stage all night and stepped on me. But it's just one of those things where you I would learn these big, weird life lessons, and I was so young I didn't really understand what is the wisdom that is supposed to be derived from that. But one of the most solid early life lessons, I'm basically right now reeling in the years in front of you. I got this great lesson in not judging people by their appearances, which we do anyway. I mean, you see a guy with a mullet, and you're like, and you can't help it. You see that, especially like the long ones, like the ones you see in Australia, like the ones that are years in the making, like when the girlfriend has like, you know, made the braids down the side, that have like beads, and they're like, and they're usually wearing short pants, like they're loaders at Australian airports, so they're wearing these like little short pants, these tremendous guts of pure abdominal steel, and they can pick up your whole car and load it onto a plane, and they have like mullets down to here, and if you go like, mullet man, you know, you might be a nice guy, but we do look at people and go like, it's a mullet. Anyway, I got this great lesson, and you better watch your ass when you judge people by their appearances. And so I used to live in an office building on Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. Santa Monica Boulevard is a big east-west artery that goes basically right to the Pacific Ocean and kind of quits at the sand. And it's a big, big street, a lot of traffic. And on Santa Monica Boulevard, you can rent or buy for the evening the sexual favors of a man or a boy. And a long time ago, the male sex trade stretched almost all the way up to Beverly Hills. But now, through gentrification and the LAPD, the gay sex trade, or the male sex trade, has been pushed back east. And you can still see men with their mini skirts on and their beard stubble protruding through their pancake makeup as they vigorously rearrange their pudenda, Latin, because their anatomy has fallen out of the lady's thong they're wearing under their miniskirt, and they're there in a red light, and you're like, bah! And it's never not intense. It's like if Dee Snider smoked a bunch of angel dust, broke into your house, and all of a sudden was giving you a lap dance, and you woke up and you're like, no, Dee, no! I'm not at all trying to cast aspersions on Dee Snider. He's actually a pal of mine, and he said, you remind me of me. He said, our mothers both dropped us on our heads at birth. I'm like, okay, he's an insanely smart guy. Anyway, and so I would walk around at night through this weird world of the male sex trade, just like trip on these people. And if I ever had money, I would buy a candy bar. That was my big night out. And I would go to the 7-Eleven that's at La Cienega and Holloway. To this day, it's still there. This is like 30 years ago. And I would walk in and literally pick up the different candy bars and weigh them, because I did not believe the weights on the side of the package. I figured that's the man from M&M Mars or Hershey trying to screw me out of some chocolate with his fake measurements bag. And I would like pick up a Snickers, which I like, and they don't give you much of it. And then I would pick up the Three Musketeers, which tastes pretty awful. It's like a pillowcase of death. But you're like, oh, there seems to be more. I'm like, oh, there's more air in it. And there I am, the singer of Black Flag, this tattooed, angry symbol of American unrest. Fear me, bitches, holding candy bars. It was such a... Anyway, I'm like... And someone, as I'm weighing my options, literally, the doors of 7-Eleven open, and two young rent boys come in, and they're about my age, 20, 21, thereabouts, and they are dressed to match. They both have that Farrah Fawcett hairdo parted in the middle, kind of feathered back on the sides, multiple piercings in their ears. Their faces are completely glammed out, like huge bright eyeshadow with their lip gloss. They're just really tarted up. They're both wearing tube tops. They have no breastises, but they're wearing tube tops. They're wearing purple, sparkly hot pants, like gym shorts. Legs are shaved, purple sparkle socks, and purple clogs. And they're dressed to match. And I'm looking at these two guys, and they're buying like cigarettes or something over the counter, so they're looking at the man, and I'm looking at them in kind of a semi-profile, going, wow, I have nothing but respect for these two guys. Because if any of you have ever been alternative or punk rock, you may have had that situation where the guy goes, hey, what's up, Devo? And I'm like, oh, no. How am I getting out of this parking lot? Like, if you have a mohawk and you hear a car roll up with Toby Keith playing, you start looking around, it might not go so well for you, you know? And so I'm looking at these guys going, damn, you couldn't pay me $1,000 to dress me up like that and have me walk 2 city blocks. Because, you know, it's hairy what they're doing. They're like punk rock on steroids. And as you can imagine, a rent boy, someone like that, has come to Los Angeles quite often from a different city in a different state, like Oregon, from Arizona, New Mexico, Washington State. And they came to LA for something, and they ended up hooking. And quite often, as you probably know, a guy like that hops into a car with a client, and the client gets what he wants. And then the client would sometimes break the neck of the prostitute, stab the prostitute 40 times, or break the guy to pieces and take the dead body and throw it over the railings into one of California's many canyons, where it was ripped to shreds by coyotes quite quickly, and the bones were walked away. And some hiker finds a skull a year and a half later, and they go, wow, who's this? There's no DNA testing, and it's just some runaway kid from Portland. He's nobody. And the remains are thrown into a trash can, not even put into a potter's field. There's no parents to call. These are invisible people. And so I respected these 2 guys with their hot pants on and their glitter faces going, damn, man, you got way more guts than I'll ever have. So I'm just holding 2 candy bars, looking at these 2 rent boys going like, you all should be the singer of Black Flag, because that's intense. I'd pay to see your music. That's wild. And at that time, these 2 massive men walk into 7-Eleven. They look like they're right off the set of Urban Cowboy. And as you know, in Southern California, they grow some of these men very, very big. And from the waist up, they're like this big V of vascularity. And they got their shit kicker boots on, jeans, like plaid shirts, cowboy hats, same hairdo as the rent boys. And they walk in, and they see the 2 rent boys, they start laughing to each other. I'm like, oh no, this is gonna end badly. And you can see the guy behind the counter, he's taking it all in going, oh no, oh no. I kind of get ready for blood spray. And finally, one of the Urban Cowboys says something like, you know, hey, faggot, or something. And you would think, by appearance, that the 2 rent boys would be like, oh no, please don't hurt us. Oh golly gosh, we're just 2 feminine boys with hot pants on. Please be nice. And I'm thinking, well, they're gonna get killed. And without any hesitation, the 2 rent boys turned upon the Urban Cowboys and let loose with the most believably violent stream of brutal vitriol from the 9th sewer of hell. Came out of their mouth like, whoa! And it wasn't like, you bastards, what are you looking at? It was like, these 2 guard dogs with the gates of hell. I dropped the candy bars and ran. I ran. I'm trying to hide in the dairy film. Like, no, please. I just had candy bars. Don't hurt me. And the 2 Urban Cowboys, like a lot of bullies, they're not used to people saying no. They're used to walking up like, give me your lunch. Here, have the mustard. And like they walked up to the 2 rent boys going, not today. And you see the Urban Cowboys like, we don't know what to do with our bodies. You don't fear us. You don't fear us. Danger, danger. And they ran out of the 7-Eleven and jumped into their death mobile and went screeching out of the parking lot. No doubt all the way back to Anaheim, California, back to their separatist compound. And went inside like, don't go into Hollywood, it's full of angry, violent faggots. And you'd figure that the 2 rent boys would be spent. Like, oh my God, so intense. They're like nothing to these guys. They went, menthol, yeah, 2 packs. I was like, I need therapy. And that's when I came to the conclusion that, like, by judging people by their appearance, you better check that out before you do that. I don't think I've ever done it again, except the occasional mullet guy. But I learned a lesson. You know, these guys are harder than hard, and that you got to be careful. And that's when I came to the conclusion that there's no way I'm going to survive this band. There's no way I'm going to survive LA. I should pack it in and go home. And somehow I stuck it out. But that was one of my early check me out moments. And so that happened. Here's something else. When I'm not on stage, and I was here in 2010, I believe, in one of my epic laps around the globe, the world is an interesting place to me, and I'm kind of a tour machine in that I'd rather be with you every night than not. Nights off for me are fairly intolerable. I pace the hallway of my Bon Jovi mobile, my Def Leppard Express, my rented carbon footprint, wishing I was doing a show. I do shows to the bunk. Now they say, you know what Lincoln said, bunk? Well, here's what he There's nothing else for me to do but this. But when I'm not this, I'm traveling here and there. When I'm not doing that, I'm off the road. And the older I get, the more intolerable being off the road feels to me. I feel lightweight. And every time I go to the grocery store, I feel like I'm insulting my carcass with food, that I'm really fattening it for for some slaughter. And I feel like veal. When I wake up in my own bed, I'm like, you're not trying hard enough. You should be waking up in the coffin of a bunk environment, breathing other people's air, in this rolling rocket going down some American highway. That's what I should be doing. And there's a momentary elation of coming back to my home, which also smacks of incredible plot loss. I walk in like it belongs to someone else, because I rarely see it, and I put my gear down and I look at the walls. I go, wow, adult male. You know, I'm profiling myself. Adult male, 50s, you know, sad, lives alone, arrested in his 19th year of development, museum grade, architecturally framed to maintain forever, Clash poster, Damned poster. Look at that stereo system. That could wound a human from a mile and a half away. Wow, this guy has no decent means of restraint. Oh, it's mine. And you're like, oh, really? Is this all it is? And I get bored of it real fast. And there is this momentary high of opening up all the crap that you ordered for yourself while you were away. Like, things will make me better. And winning things on eBay is ironic in that, and I'm telling this to you women, because no woman goes on eBay. Why? Because they're right now trying to protect what's left of the reproductive health rights. They're hugging their ovaries, going, keep your damn ancient man hands off my ovaries. And they're trying to stop the next world war. So they got a lot of stuff going on. Man, we got time to dick around all day. eBay, I'll buy more crap I don't need. And so I buy crap I don't need on eBay. And I have nothing but fury and anger towards anyone who tries to bid against me. And they have the temerity to think that they could beat me, the king of the bay. And I open up the thing that I really don't need. And I want to find the guy who lost to me on his Skype account. Like, hey, eBay Hawk 11, whatever the guy's name is. Hey, remember this? Remember this? That's right. This is the thing that you wanted. You saw it as a JPEG on eBay.com. I'm holding the actual article in my hand. Go ahead, lick the screen of your laptop. Nick it. Okay, pulling back into a wide shot. Keep watching. That's right, I'm naked. Don't freak out. Keep watching. What am I doing with Agent Punk Rock 45? Oh, yeah. It's freaking you out. Okay, into a close-up. Are you looking? High res, right? What am I doing? Oh. I burned it in half! I have 3 of these. I didn't need it. I just didn't want you to have one. And so, that's how desperately pathetic my life is without you. Do you see now? And if I had my way, you'd like me more. You'd be obsessed with me, right? I'd have to do 4 nights here for the demand! We demand you never stop talking! And I'd be happy to live in my Bon Jovi mobile and just keep camping out here every single night because it keeps me from going back to my home where I have to buy groceries and be real. It's awful. And so I would love to tell you that I'm a workaholic. Because it sounds bitchin' to me. I love that workaholic. He was inspired by and fueled by workaholica. He drank workahol. And it's somewhat mysterious and enigmatic, the idea of the workaholic. Like, no one understands the workaholic. It's tinged in sadness and some kind of romantic ruggedness and tragedy. He was a workaholic. No one understood him. He lived alone. Palace of solitude. He had no friends. They only kept his wings from flapping as he rose to great heights of creativity and productivity. No one understood the demons always lashing at his back, propelling him ever forward. He rarely spoke. He was too busy. Days would go by. He did not eat. Why am I talking to you like William Shatner? I don't know. And then one day, when he exploded in a golden cloud of creativity and productivity and was never seen again, we went into his palace of solitude and found 1,100 unreleased manuscripts. I've read them all. All killer. No filler. Who was this workaholic? I would love to be able to say, I am that guy, but I'm not. I'm a work slut. And unfortunately for me, some Floridian man has taken that word and really taken it for a few laps around the track as of late. But when I say work slut, I'm not trying to denigrate any hardworking sluts out there. But I say yes to employment because everything is interesting to me. So if I think there's a free sandwich in a pen, chances are I'm showing up. Because I'm very low threshold for boredom. And I come from minimum wage work. So if someone says, hey, you want to be in Attack of the Bugs 5? Oh, I'm in. Because like, why not? I'm nobody from nowhere. And so a couple of years ago, National Geographic came to me and they said, Henry, we see that you travel all over the world. I said, I do that thing. They said, how's that to do with National Geographic? I went, oh, bet! And so over the last couple of years, I started doing documentary work with National Geographic. And last year, we devoted a big part of last year to 3 documentaries that'll be coming out on the Nat Geo Wild Channel very, very soon, I think in May or June. It's a 3-part series called The Animal Underworld, and it deals with human-animal relationships and how they differentiate all over the world. And I'm not talking about the Santorum on dog action or something like that. I'm talking about where here in America, we enjoy quite a bit of hamburger, why not? And in other parts of the world, like in India, where the cow is sacred, in some parts at least, it not necessarily is the cow always on the menu. So we went out into the world to explore those differences. And we find ourselves at one point in northern Vietnam, in Hanoi, where they have some eating practices that might make you freak out a little, I don't know. But at one point we were in a restaurant, which looks like a miniature zoo. And this restaurant is anything that you can see living, crawling, flying by is on the menu. And if you look at anything for too long, some guy will run over and kill it. And like saute it and serve it to you. Like, look, it's a turtle. Oh, it's looking, oh, damn. All right, make it into an omelet, what the hell. And so they said, Henry, today you're going to eat a snake. I'm like, oh, really? What a bummer, because I like snakes. And so we go to this place, and it's like this theme park of animals, but what you're seeing is the menu. And so we meet the owner of the restaurant, and he said, Henry's going to eat a snake today, show us what you've got. And he takes us into a room full of cobras. And he's got this snake hook, and he's pulling out cobras to show us. And I'm taking his cobras away from them and handling them, and he just thought I was a maniac. Because I've picked up a few in my life. And so I'm playing with the guy's cobra, and he said, well, you're going to eat this one? I said, no, it's a cobra. It's a beautiful animal. Let's put him back in his box. And they usually reserve cobras for like coming-of-age parties, weddings, big deals. And I said, no, let's not eat a cobra. It's too much of an amazing creature. What else do you got here? Well, we have rat snakes, which are plentiful all over the world. Here in America, here in Florida, as you know. But the Asian rat snake can be found almost anywhere. Far more generic snake. So I said, okay, let's see what you got rat snake-wise. He's got this huge cage of Asian rat snakes. They're really beautiful. They get really big. At the top of the cage are all these like really healthy ones trying to get out, trying to find a way out, At the bottom of the cage, there's a small, kind of emaciated rat snake that can't even be bothered to stick its tongue out. It's like a dejected rat snake. It's like, he has a Joy Division tattoo on his side. He says, so how do you feel about life? Like, why do anything? Like, why get up? Oh, like, whoa, an existential rat snake. So I said, how would you like to be eaten? Eaten, whatever. Like, what day is it? Does it matter? I mean, why do they even call it Wednesday? I mean, I went, that one. And the guy said, there's no meat on that one. It's just a sad little example of the species. I said, so are we all, pal. Let's do it. And so we put the little bastard out of its misery. They clean its guts out, and they take it still beating hard, and they throw it into a glass, and they pour some water in it or something. And they go, here, drink the beating snake heart. It'll give you virility. And our cameraman, he loves to see me torture. Yeah, mate, eat it, eat it, eat it. And so I drink the beating snake heart, and now I'm virile. Ladies, I'm ready now. Anyway, then they cook up the snake meat. It tasted perfectly awful. Anyway, we leave Vietnam and we find ourselves in India. And we spent some time in the north of India in Rajasthan, near the Pakistan border, in a place called Bikaner. And in Bikaner, there's a place called the Rat Temple. You can look it up on the internet. It was actually the temple to Sri Karni Mata. And she said that these rats running around are not pests. They're not things to be destroyed. They are your reincarnated relatives, and you must give them milk and food and offerings. This is National Geographic. If it was Discovery Channel, I would have covered the rats for 45 minutes. It's Nat Geo, which means we have to film for 2 8-hour days in 115-degree heat with bare feet. And Chris, the psychotic Australian cameraman, loves to see me suffer. All right, mate. go into those bowls of milk, which is nothing but just ringed by rats and rat tails as they lap free milk, which makes them healthy, which means they breed prodigiously, making more rats. So in the afternoon when the sun goes down, the rats come out for feeding. And there I am in the middle of all these rats. And the rats like take a momentary pause from their milk drinking and see these blue-white feet. Like, wow, look at those. Let's give those a preliminary nibble to see if we find them interesting. And I'm trying to, I'm here in Bikanir at the rat temple, is the temple for Sri, and you feel a rat going, and you're holding form like, as a rat is like going for this long ride, and you can't kill it because that's someone's mom. And so we're all there for 2 days, like, ow, 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 and then they would come out there, they're not mean, they just dig you. Like, smells good to me. And so we're all walking in, like, oh, I got my 5 rats today. But we got this shot made. And that's what's important. And so days later, I had another interesting interaction. I'm at the bottom of India, way down at the bottom of the V on the eastern side. And we're there to meet some Arula tribesmen. And as you probably know, in India, a lot of people die every year of snake bite. And the main perpetrator of death and injury by snake bite in India is the Russell's viper, Deboia russelli. It's a very aggressive snake, big fangs, big venom, and a hemotoxic effect in that you get bitten, it hurts, the swelling is bad, the wound tears open, gets infected quickly, goes gangrenous. And a lot of people in India, they work on farms, often in bare feet or sandals, and Arula tribesmen get paid to sweep farms of their venomous snakes. And so we're there to meet some Arula tribesmen and go hunting with them and see their relationship with poisonous snakes. And so we meet them in a rice field about 4:45 a.m. It's a mere 95 degrees. Nice guys are armed with crowbars for digging and machetes for clearing away brush. Nice guys, we shake hands with them, we go into this field. Within 10 minutes, we found our first Russell's viper. It's a juvenile, which is too small to take into captivity. What they do is they don't kill the snakes. They take them into captivity to a milking place where the venom is extracted to make the serum that makes anti-venom so these people can live. And so that's how they derive their paycheck. And so we find a very small Russell's viper, still deadly, but too small to take into captivity. We do a tutorial with the fangs and the venom, and we show the camera all the stuff. We put the snake down on the grass so he or she can live to get milked another day. And then we find a snake hole, and these Arula men dig with great interest at the snake hole. Huge amounts of clay are flying through the air, and the one guy takes his hand and reaches in and pulls. 4-foot cobra comes out of the ground, and it's pissed off, like, you found me, you bastard, and that thing will kill everyone in this room. That's a very bad bite. So we find the one cobra, we look for hours for more snakes, we don't find any more venomous ones. We go to this venom milking place where they sell the snake. Chris, the psychotic cameraman, feels the need to film B-roll. Snake bags on the ground for 5 hours. Look, it's a vase that has a cobra in it. I go, Chris, how many hours are you going to film the vase? Shut up, mate! It's Nat Geo. Have to film it from every possible angle, mate. And it's Nat Geo, which means everything is done 80 times. And so we take the nice Arula men out to lunch. They're very, very friendly. The sun is setting, so I said, well, that's a wrap on the Arula men. We're shaking their hands, and they said, well, what are you talking about? We have to go back to the rice fields for the second shift. Okay, so we follow them. They go to the rice paddies themselves, and there's holes in the ground. I said, what, more snakes? And they're like, oh no, these are rat holes. And they dig the rat holes, and they reach in and they pull rats out. It's like a magic trick, like nothing in my hand. I reach in and pull, out comes a rat. They break their little necks and throw them into a cloth sack. And in 10 minutes, they got this big sack of rats. You're like, well, that's one way to keep the pestilence down, you just kill them. And I said, so what are you going to do with the rats? Because I figured, it's dinner time. Finally, I get to leave and go eat dinner at the hotel restaurant. And I found out dinner was going to be served a different way. And they say, come with us. And then we go to this field. They grab all these sticks and twigs. They take the dead rats. They light the wood on fire. They throw the dead rats on top of the fire. The fur burns off. These things turn black immediately. They knock them out of the fire. And then they rip all the feet and paws off the rats and eat them. They snap the tails off the rats and eat them. The guy snaps the tail off a rat and hands it to me. I'm like, no. And then they take the rats and break them open like Satan's own burrito, and the guts explode forth. And the smell of hot rat guts, it is unbelievably pungent. Your whole body goes, no. My throat is closing, the whole thing is down, and they take these dripping things back on the fire for another few minutes, and they knock these misshapen, blackened, stinking things out of the fire, let them cool, blow the dirt and grass off them, and hand you one. You're like, yeah? What do I do with this? A guy reaches into the smoking body cavity of my rat and extracts the rat's liver, which is like 1/3 the size of the rat. He goes, here, you eat it. I'm like, oh no. And Chris the Kid's like, yeah, eat it, mate, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. And I'll have you know, there's a few different ways to eat a rat liver. Well, you can nibble on it for minutes at a time, which means, you'll still be dealing with a rat liver 2 minutes from now. Or you can just put it in your mouth, chew and swallow and be done. I figured that's the way to do it. Just get it over with. And so The Arula men mistook the intensity of my chewing and the enthusiasm with which I swallowed to be enjoyment and gusto. And they reached into the smoking body cavities of their rats and handed me their liver. I guess they thought I needed the iron. And so Chris says, yeah, eat another rat liver, eat it, I need a wide shot. Well, no, of course, coverage. And so the second rat liver does not go down remotely like the first one did. Because when you eat the first one, there's a bit of euphoria when you swallow. You're like, I did it! The second one, like, really? And your whole body goes, absolutely not. No, the mouth is closing, it's never opening again. And I have to go to court, in my mind, against myself to gain entry to my own mouth. And then I am with my elbow up on the bar that holds the jury seats, like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in defense of this rat liver, to have it gain access to you, I petition you and tell you that this rat liver is derived from a free-range rat, a hormone-free rat. A rat that was raised on a vegetarian diet, killed mercifully, slaughtered easily, and cooked quickly. It's nothing bad for you, it's just flesh of an animal that you're not that familiar with, but there's vitamins and iron to be had with every smoky bite. Please, all right. And I ate it, and the second time around, your body knows what it's in for. It's just like, ow, I reject this, and your throat's like, no, really? Really? The third one, I'm like, no! You know what? Now I put my foot down. When I was a younger man, I was like an 8 to 12 rat liver a day guy. But in my elder years, 2 will do. And then you have to just get into the hardcore eating of a rat. You just kind of figure it out. You look at what they're doing, you're like, okay, that's a leg, I guess there's some meat on it. And you start eating rat meat. And then there's all this like burnt flesh on the back, you tear it off and chuck it to the side, and start eating the meat on either side of the spinal column. And you have to forget what you're eating. Like, okay, it's a rat, but it's meat, it's flesh. I'm eating flesh. Grain-fed flesh, but it's a rat, and you go through like revulsion and purpose. Finally, after like 3 minutes, it's eaten. There's not that much meat on a rat. So the Arula men and I are sitting around the fire, all like our faces gleaming with rat goo, and our hands shining with rat guts, and there's like rat parts everywhere. And the setting sun is bathing our faces in gold. And I asked the translator, I said, ask these guys why they eat rats, because our listeners or viewers will want to know. And he asked them, and they said, well, it's a foodstuff. It's an available food, and we eat food. And I said, okay, fair enough. How much of your diet does the rat comprise? And they said, well, we all have families. Well, we go home to the kitchen and breakfast and dinner, so we eat rats every once in a while. I said, okay, that's interesting to know. What occasion necessitates the eating of a rat? And they said, well, now and then, we've grown up in the same village. We've known each other since we were kids. Our fathers taught us how to hunt for rats and snakes. It's what we do. And so some days we don't feel like going home. The weather's nice. We kill up some rats. We put them on the fire, and we solve all the world's problems as we, talk. So I said, so this is the post-work Arula Bro Down Rat barbecue. They went, yeah. I said, and I get to be a part of it? We are basically buddies for life, bonded by rat meat? And they're like, yeah. And I said, fellas, we might not have Paris as a collective memory, but we have this evening and this fire and this rat goo on our hands. And the Paris part kind of dog-legged them just a little, but the rest of it, they were like, yeah! And huge smiles stretched across their faces, and they all gave me a very vigorous handshake. And it was translated back to me that I am welcome in their village anytime, and that I am entitled to as many dead rats on the Barbie as I would ever hope to want anytime. All I have to do is show my face in the village and the rat hunt is on. So while people in the world deal with food insecurity, I know that if I can get myself to the bottom of India, there's a hot rat dinner waiting for me. So I've got that going for me, which is pretty swell. And so eventually we got back to America and we find ourselves here in wonderful Florida, in Miami. And our next objective was to meet some men from the Seminole Indian tribe to go alligator wrestling with them. And as you know, the Seminoles were pushed into Florida by basically redistricting in America's tournament of history. And all of a sudden they had the older new neighbors, alligators, and they learned to do that. And so now they made quite a bit of art of dealing with alligators in this kind of crazy, very risky way. And so we go to this place, a lot of alligators, and these cool guys. I said, so Henry, today we're going to teach you how to alligator wrestle. I'm like, oh boy. And there's some big alligators, there's small ones, and they're pretty damn intimidating when you get up close on them, because I'm used to seeing them in zoos, where they sit there like statues. Or you go to a big alligator farm and they'll throw some chicken off a cliff and one will fall into the water. When you're this far away from them, everything in you says, run, 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 run. It's, you know, that other brain kicks in and you're in the guy's lap going, please get me out of here. It's pretty intense. They're damn monsters. And so they take a big one and they tape its mouth shut. They go, okay, Henry, he can't bite you. We're going to teach you how to jump on the back of an alligator. And the producer comes up and he's like, Henry, you don't have to do this. I said, I'm a work slut. I'm going to get the shot. And so this guy named Ian, he goes, okay, full commitment, jump. And you jump through the air, land on the alligator with your hands behind his jaws. And the thing could have killed me, but its jaws are taped shut and is terrifying anyway. So I do that, and I'm sitting on this, alligator the size of a freaking couch. I'm like, okay. So now we're going to bring you one with no tape on its jaws. I'm like, oh boy. And they went, Henry, you don't have to do it. I said, are you kidding? Now I have to do it. So they bring up another alligator. They bring this alligator out of the water, and the guy says, okay, don't worry about this one. He's more of a runner than a biter. So the chances are, if he gets your head, and he's going to roll, and he'll probably kill you. I'm like, okay. So this thing is trying to whip you with its tail. And then, you don't get, and the thing's like, leave me alone, I want to go back to the water. So then I have to sneak up on the alligator, lunge through the air. I land on the alligator's back with my hands behind its jaws. Now it goes into running mode and I'm on its back. And I am just a mere inconvenience to this thing. So I go to the poor alligator, the alligator's like, what just landed on me? What pain in the ass is on my back? I better go back to the watering hole and drown this damn thing and we'll all eat it. So it's right, I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to steer it away from the water. So finally the thing just gets bored and just stops. And they go, okay. Now time for your first trick. I go, my first trick? Isn't my trick that I jumped on the damn thing and I didn't get killed? They went, oh no, you got work to do. And so I was told, like, move your hands over its eyes. Now get your hands around its jaw, all the way to the top. Now, quickly put your hand underneath the chin. Grab the meat under its chin. Now you're going to pull the mouth open and do the Texas smile. And so I open these jaws up and I go, yeah? Okay, now what do? Close them really carefully, because if he turns, he's going to get your arm. Oh, fantastic. And as you're pulling him down, the alligator helps you. And you sound this hollow sound. You just hear something that could put your entire body into its stomach. Like this huge closet door closing. I go, okay, now what do? And they go, okay, go back to behind the jaw. I get back there. I said, I can go to. They go, oh no, now you're going to do the bulldog. I'm like, the bulldog? And so now you go back down to the snout and you pull the head back up so the chin is up like this, and you lock the snout of the alligator, the top and bottom jaw, underneath your chin and collarbone like this. And you're like, okay, can I go? No, now take your hands off. And I said, are you kidding? They're like, oh, that's the bulldog. I'm like, screw that bulldog. And so of course I'm like, okay. 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. How many seconds does it take? Like, he did it. I hold on for some amount of time until finally instinct just goes like, get out of this. Like, and I get the big animal down. And I go, okay, now what do? They go, get off him as quickly as you can. I go, is there any way to do this? They said, yeah, like fast. And there's no, you go backwards because it'll take him longer to turn around. But don't put your leg out because he can, I'm like, oh, yeah, and he's going, and you jump through the midair backwards like a kung fu film. We land like in the next area code. And apparently they're going to put it on TV. We went. It took us about 2 years, and we would call different Pentecostal churches in America. If you've ever seen ancient black and white footage of a Pentecostal church meeting, where you'll see men and women dancing around with cotton mouths or copperheads or rattlesnakes as a rock band plays, that's a Pentecostal church meeting. And the idea is, if your faith is strong, the snake won't bite you. Or if the snake bites you and your faith is strong, the venom will have no adverse effect. But if the venom kills you, I guess your faith just wasn't working all that hard on that day. And so we tried for about 2 years to get a Pentecostal church group to allow us to come in and film them. And they all said, no, you're going to bring your cameras in, you're going to film us, you're going to edit to make us look like a bunch of weirdos, and we will not be made fun of. And quite honestly, we have no interest in making fun of anybody. It's National Geographic, the gold standard. And so finally, our wonderful producer, Abigail, was able to convince a church, I think in southern Kentucky, to allow us to come down and film them. And very begrudgingly, the guy said, well, I don't really trust you guys. And then she said, look, we're cool, and if you don't like the footage, we won't use it. And so we went down there, we meet this pastor. And the pastor, in his garage, keeps all the venomous snakes that they use for the church meetings. And so I said, I'd like to go in and see your snakes and interview you in your snake room. He said, fine. We walk into his garage. He's got a lot of cottonmouths, which you know all about. He's got no eastern diamondback rattlesnakes, which are native to Florida, but he's got a lot of timber rattlesnakes and canebrake rattlesnakes. Both of those are really awful bites, especially the canebrake. And he has a lot of copperheads. And the rattlesnakes were very, very aggressive. They see us and they're just rattling, and they're all venomous. The venom glands are intact. And so I said, for the sake of interview, Pastor, please tell us why you and your churchgoers sometimes handle snakes, because they don't handle them all the time. The Spirit has to be moving them to handle the snakes. And I said, so why do you do this? Because our viewers will want to understand, because it's so alien to a lot of people, why anyone would pick up a rattlesnake and hold it, because the downside is really down. And I kind of knew what he was going to say, but I want him to say it. And he said, there's a part of the Bible that is very inspirational to us. And it's part of the book of Mark. And forgive me, I know not much about the Bible. I'm not here to put it down. It's just a book I've not spent a great deal of time with. I've spent a bit of time with the New Testament and liked a lot of what I read, but I'm not conversant in the Bible. Anyway, he said there's a part of Mark that means a lot to us. And I'll try not to mangle the quote too badly. The passage that inspires them goes like this. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall cast out demons. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. And that's the quote. And so I said, okay, so why is that verse so instructive and inspiring to you? And he said something that was fascinating to me. He said, it's because that's seeing God in motion. That's a physical gesture of God. The laying on of hands and the person being healed. The drinking of poisonous substances and not having any harm. Taking up of deadly serpents and the casting out of demons. And the speaking in different tongues. When this comes through us, we know that God is real. I went, that's amazing. And so he said, and the meeting's in a few hours. Are you guys ready? We're like, yeah. And so we go to this church, and it's like a narrow box with no windows, way off the road. They're not disturbing anybody. And it looks basically like a small venue, in that there's some church pews, like seats, and then there's a small stage, and there's a podium for the pastor to speak, and a PA, and a mic, and behind him are a few musical instruments. There's a bass, there's a Les Paul gold top guitar. The front of the stage is lined with plexiglass boxes of his poisonous snakes. On the side of the stage, there's a keyboard and a drum kit. So I figured there's going to be some music. I don't know what kind of music it's going to be. In fact, I have no idea what's going to happen. And the pastor said a few times, he said, look, when the Spirit doesn't move us, we don't touch the snakes. I mean, months go by and the snakes never come out of their boxes. And we said, sir, we're not here to make you put on a show. You know, if the snakes don't come out, that's fine. We just want to be with you and see your relationship to these animals and see what you do. And he said, fine. So the people come in. They've already been warned that National Geographic's going to be there. Not everyone showed up, but most of them did. And they put me in the front pew so the camera can find me. And people say hello to me. They're incredibly friendly. And I said, hi, I'm Henry. And we shake hands. And then the pastor goes, okay, it's time to start. And he gets onto the podium. He goes, okay, everyone, is everyone seated? Everyone's like, yeah. He's like, does anyone have anything they want to say? Anything they want to testify to? And one person said, yeah, my brother, his knee hurts, and I feel really bad about it. Well, let's pray about that for a minute. And they think about that, and they pray. Anyone else say, yeah, my roof is leaking, and, you know, that's kind of a drag. Well, let's pray about that roof, and let's see if we can get that roof fixed. They think about that for a minute. Then the pastor leaves the podium. He walks over to the Les Paul Gold Top guitar, and he puts it on, and he plugs in, and he turns up an amp that's on the stage, and he starts playing these amazing blues licks. And it's not like the guy can't play. The guy is a badass blues player. And not only can he play, but the boy's got tone. He sounds amazing. I mean, a Les Paul in the right hands is an amazing thing. Ask Jimmy Page. Anyway, he's playing like, get down, pastor! And then this big guy gets on stage, picks up the bass, plugs in, and he starts playing. The pastor's son gets up, gets behind the drum kit, and starts playing. He's a total Motown badass. And they're laying down this thing, and people start clapping. I start clapping. I'm no snob. If it sounds good, I'm your fan. And people start singing. There's some song about God. So it's basically 4/4 blues-based gospel rock. And people are singing. I'm like, all right, I don't know the words, but I'm with you. And people get really inspired. People start standing up and singing. People start sweating. A huge man stands up next to me and says, like, oh no, really? People get up next to me, like, wow. All of a sudden, a little old lady gets up, and she's like 800 years old. She weighs like 4 pounds. She gets the son drummer out of the way. She gets behind the drum kit. She's like a total badass drummer too. She's back there laying down this wicked pocket. The snakes come out. People are dancing around with snakes. Our cameraman's trying to film it. I'm like, Chris, don't get bitten. When someone has a canebrake rattlesnake in striking distance of their head, because I know what those snakes can do, all I can think is like, no, oh please don't do that. But the music is good, but you're terrifying. Because all I can do for you that would be merciful, if you get bitten in the face by a rattlesnake, the best thing I can do for you is shoot you to put you out of your misery. The pain and swelling would be unbelievably painful. And these people are just like dancing around with snakes. And all of a sudden, the little old lady gets up from the drum kit. She has 2 copperheads. She's dancing around. And the son goes back to drumming. And then this girl gets up. She gets behind the keyboard. And she starts like just bashing the keyboard with her hands like she's trying to break it. And you think of the music, she's playing perfectly. She's so good she doesn't even look. And she starts singing. She's like Janis Joplin Jr. She's incredible. And now people are up, the snakes are everywhere. The pastor starts drinking turpentine because they drink anything anything shall not hurt them. And then after like 5 songs, we're all sweating. There's snakes everywhere. And now the son, the drummer, he's now with a cordless mic walking around the church singing about God doing all this weird stuff. And they bring it down, and everyone gets up and testifies as the music is vamping in the background. And the huge man gets up. He was like, I want to talk about God. I want to talk about God. I was like, yeah! I'm like, yeah, do it! And we're all sweating. It was the best damn rock concert I went to last year. Without a question. Got down so hard, I'd buy a ticket to go see it again. Like, anytime. If I got invited back there, believe me, I'm going. And so everyone gets a moment to testify. The bass player, he gives his bass to the pastor. They switch out instruments. And finally the bass player goes like, I want to tell you how I lost Jesus and found drugs. No. But then I lost drugs and got back with Jesus. Yay. And people are drinking the turpentine. The snakes are hanging out. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, okay, yay! And finally, at about 2 hours and 50 minutes, we're all covered in sweat, and the pastor brings the thing down for a landing. He says, okay, I want to tell you all a story about something that happened a few weeks ago. I got a phone call from a girl named Abigail at National Geographic. And she said, Pastor, I want to come down and film you and your wonderful followers. Is that okay? I said, yes, it is. And here they are tonight. And sitting in the front row is Henry Rollins. And I want him to get up and testify. And I have been yelling at you for the last 31 years of my life. Never at a loss for words. I'll say any damn thing up here pretty much. I was verklempt. I'm like, you want me to talk? About what? What do you mean? Yeah, I've given a cordless mic. I'm like, you guys are like really great band. Until we walked out. The little old lady has a serious pocket. Keyboard chick was a total keyboard nerd. She's amazing. I can't believe it. Thank you. That's it now. And they give the mic to Chris, the psychotic Australian cameraman. Well, you know AC/DC? You had a good beat, I could dance to it, I'll give you a 5. Thanks, he sits down. And the mic goes all the way around the room. We all say, hey, thanks for letting us be here. And the pastor goes, okay, does anyone else have anything else they want to say? And everyone's like, we're good. He goes, all right, we meet back here tomorrow at 19:30 hours. Everyone's like, and everyone's like, ah! And they all leave. And I'm standing by the front door of the church, and people are leaving. They're like, hey, thanks for coming down. I said, hey, thanks for letting us be down here. I mean, they're such nice people. And I'm shaking hands with them. We're talking. And one guy comes up to me and he's like, well, I want to ask you a question, man. I went to a Walmart a while ago, and they have this big old bin in the entertainment section, like 49-cent DVDs. And the sign says, please get these DVDs out of our store. Don't worry about paying for them, just take them. Just take them and get them out of here because they're awful. And I bought one, Bug Ranch 10, attack the creepy crawling creature things from outer space. It's the worst film I ever saw. How come you're in it? And I have to explain to this guy, he works a lot between tours, I'm out of work, and I say yes to all kinds of things. He went, well, you should be a better monitor of your time. I'm a movie critic, but just saying. Well, right. Anyway, thank you, sir. And everyone leaves except for keyboard girl, drummer lady, the son, and the big bass player. And they're there to kind of clean up the church and straighten everything for the next meeting. And finally, it's just the pastor and I sitting there talking. I said, Pastor, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I gotta say, sir, you and that Les Paul Gold Top, you are a blues man. And he went, buddy, for years I had a Stratocaster, I couldn't stand it. I got that Gold Top, buddy, I am rocking. I'm like, yeah, you are. And I said, look, I'd really like to come down here some other time and check you out. Would that be okay? He said, you are welcome here anytime. He's actually called me since I've been to his place. And, I'm going back. So let's see. I have a rat dinner waiting for me in India, a blues gospel soul freakout jam with live poisonous snakes in Kentucky. Life's going pretty well, I reckon. And so this thing happened. The last time I was with you guys, was 2010, and the tour kind of keeled over and died at the Edinburgh Festival in Edinburgh, Scotland, at a mere 142 shows or thereabouts, which was sad to me, because I wanted 242 shows, would have been 100 better than what I got, because I don't like being off the road. I'd rather be here every night. And so I go back to America, not that I have any aversion to the America, but I go back to America like, wow, it's over. And I found out when I was about to go back to America that a visa that I had been working very hard to get, took years to get it, it finally had come through, and my time in America would be very, very truncated. So I get back to Los Angeles, and I have about 5 days before I have to leave again. So I reconfigure my backpack, shower, shave, do my laundry, and I go back to my home away from home, Los Angeles International Airport. And I fly many, many, many hours to Beijing, China. And I spend the night in Beijing, China, and I get up the next morning, I go back to the airport, back onto another airplane, and fly about 2 hours and land in this place where it took me about 3 years to get the visa. Beautiful, throbbing, urbanite, cosmopolitan, now sparkling Pyongyang, North Korea. So I've wanted to go there for some time just because no one goes. And my past president always warned me that other countries hate my freedom, which to me was one of the silliest things I had ever heard come from the mouth of any president in my young life. Like, they hate your freedom. Freedom haters. Someone hates my freedom? I think somebody in the executive office needs to get over themselves. And I don't think anyone gets up like, I hate their freedom. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I can't even taste my tea. I hate their freedom so much. I just don't think people really think that way. So I go to countries where apparently they hate my freedom. And so far, I've not been killed. And I'm not a tough guy, and I'm not looking for a fight with anyone, but the world is interesting to me. I'm kind of like Johnny Quest, and the world is my oyster. And so during the Bush administration, he said, oh, these countries are bad. I went to all of them that I could. And now I'm taken into small rooms at American international airports upon coming back from some wild land. And I'm taken into a room, I'm surrounded by uniformed men who hold up my passport like, aha, we have your passport. There's a visa in it, which is completely legal. Why don't you go to Syria? Because I'm curious. Why are you curious? Why are you curious that I'm curious? We're watching you, weirdo.